I'm here with Ashley Horton from the Cut Shop, and she is known for her fabulous and unique cutting files. Hi, Ashley.
Hey, Julie, how are you?
I'm good, how are you?
Good.
So we are going to be making big titles.
Big titles, yes.
Big titles,
yes.
And I see on your layouts, will you tell us a little bit about them?
Yes, this has a big title. We do the big title because that brings a focus to the title and also to our photo. That way your photo doesn't get lost. So this one is just using one of the cut files here and incorporating your photo into the title. And then this one also is just using a title on your page. The whole page is your title, basically, with papers, and then you add your photos in as a part of the design with the title.
Now, titles can be kind of hard, and you have actually on your computer, I have here a whole bunch of different titles that you've come up with. When you think about titling, how do you approach it?
I usually like to have a large title on my page because I don't do a lot of journaling always, so I think the title kind of tells the story about what the page is. So I usually like to do either like a text title that has different types of typography, or something like this with a cut file where you can incorporate your photo and your pattern paper into the cut file.
Now, actually, all of these titles, Summer 11, Go See Do, Good Times, Let's Go, could all work for the same page.
Yes, because you want something that's going to have like a circular design or a big design that your photo can go in and still show through, just so it'll pick that up. And you could actually, if you have a photo that works, you could use it in one of the other letters just to add a fun touch to the page.
Very cool. So now I've already scanned this into our electronic cutter. And now I'm actually going to choose two different scanning styles. So the first thing I'm going to do is, you told me I need a mat for our word good times. So I'm just going in and I'm selecting the words good and times, and that's just by dragging these arrows. And I've chosen to do an outline version of it. And that outline version is going to give me a mat for behind. So then once I have it all set, I'm going to go ahead and press save. And I'm going to save that right into the machine. But then you also said that we need to cut out a second way, which is we need to cut out the what I don't know what you call it, the inline and the outline, both sides to get that narrow file. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that, and I'm going to save that one right into my machine here. And again, you could definitely take a pair of a craft knife or something like that to do this as well.
Yes.
So I'm going to go ahead now, and I'm going to put in my cutting mat right into my machine, because now we get the fun of cutting.
Yes, and these are really intricate, but it helps to put the bigger piece behind it because it's going to hold that outline.
That is a great tip. So I'm going to grab that skinny piece that we made right there, and then I'm going to go ahead into the editing just because I want to resize this.
Yes, and I want it to be much larger.
Exactly. So I'm going to go ahead and unite it all so that it's one big file, and now this is going to move around. And how large do I want it, Ashley?
I actually made it the width of the paper.
Oh, wow.
Because you want to have it just big on your page.
I'm just going to keep making it bigger and bigger and bigger.
Whatever the size of your paper is, just go crazy. You can get it as big as you want it there.
I'm going to keep making it big. I'm going to hit OK. I'm going to make sure that all of my settings are correct, of course, for cutting. And then we're going to go ahead and cut this out.
Okay.
Now, you have one, of course, that is already cut out. And just because it's a little bit hard to see on the white paper, let's make sure you can see that that is the beautiful cut. And now I understand what you were saying about you want something that has a large space. Because obviously, if you had like an eye, you'd have to use a much smaller photo, where something like the word good allows you a lot of space.
Yes, and we're keeping the centers out of those because we want that open look to have our photos and our paper, our pattern paper behind there.
Actually, if you think about it, it's amazing that you can still read this word even though there's no centers, it's all overlapping.
And they're connected,
And they're connected, but you can absolutely still read it. That's really, really cool.
And when you add the back behind it, it really pops it and shows you what the word is. And so we have a fun technique to use just to add a little bit more pizzazz to it. We're going to do some foil adhesive. We're going to add this to the cut file. So it has a fun little point here, so it makes it really easy. You're just going to squeeze it out, and just like you're kind of in school and you're outlining, tracing, it doesn't have to be perfect because
that's really thick.
Yeah, it is, but you want it to be so it's going to pick up that foil when we're adding it later.
Okay.
So we're just going to go around.
Now, when you're foiling, it is important to actually use an adhesive, obviously, that's meant for foiling.
Yes, because you want it to stick and to make sure that it has that really tacky feel once you get it on here, and that's what your foil is going to stick to. So we're just going to finish adding that.
So do you let it dry dimensionally like that?
No, I'm going to actually take this little brush here.
Okay.
And we are going to smooth all this out because we want to cover all the area of our cut file so that when we add the foil, it's going to cover all of that.
Ashley, do you actually clean your foam brushes or do you just throw them away?
It depends. If I know I'm not going to get to the craft store for a while, I will clean them and just kind of rinse them out. And you can also cut the tip if it gets hard, if you have something on there, and just keep using it that way. And then other times I just chunk them and buy.
You can certainly use a cosmetic sponge to smooth this down, all sorts of stuff. And then you're going to go ahead and let that dry.
Yes, you want to make sure this is completely dry before you add any of the foil to it.
That's really important. So I'm going to take this away.
Yes.
And now I know you have one, of course, where it's dry.
This one's completely
except
dry.
I accidentally stuck my finger to this earlier, and I discovered
it's very tacky.
It's tacky.
Yes, it sticks. And so that's what we want, because we're going to take the foil, and once we get that out, we want to make sure that the gold part is up, because if you do the gold part
so there is a right side and a wrong side of this.
You're going to get a mess if you don't do it with this part up. So we're just going to lay it over our cut file, and I like to use my finger. You could use a craft stick if you wanted to, and so you're just going to use your nail, and you want to make sure that you're rubbing that over the outline of the cut file.
I love using my nails and my hands as tools, because guess what? You always have them with you.
Yes, they're there.
There's no doubt.
They're on
Which
hand.
is really cool.
Yes.
So you're just going to keep rubbing and rubbing, and you can go ahead and do it. Now, can you reuse this foil over and over or
You can, as long as you have spots that still have the foil open. You can kind of move it around, because you can see here I can pull it up, and if you want to save, you can take that spot right there and just layer it over where you know that you're going to put it.
So you can actually get a little bit thrifty with it, which I always like that about supplies you can get thrifty with.
Yes, and I like that it doesn't completely cover it solid. It kind of leaves like that little bit of distressed
look, which is always a nice thing.
Yeah, so you just keep adding it to your file there. And we have one that's completely covered here. You can see that this has the gold, the shiny look. And so what we want to do, we actually have the back here to go on, but before you add that,
there's the mat. And by the way, I have now pulled off of the mat, just so you know, the second half of this title, so you can see how that came right up.
Yes, and we didn't do a photo here. We did pattern paper just behind that one. And so you would just want to add your photo behind, and I kind of did mine on a 4x6 and then added a little circle so I would know where I wanted to cut.
I was going to say that's a great opportunity to use just a permanent white pen or something like that will draw
or you
right
could use a punch if you had a punch, a circle punch.
Is a great idea. You could actually put it into your electronic cutter too.
Yes, you could do that.
And even cut it out easily with a circle.
You could print it through your cutter and then do that.
So if we look back at your finished layout, we can see how that photo is right behind that O.
Yes.
Totally perfect.